Okay, well, hi, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. I enjoyed this. I guess I say series, I say season, you guys say series, but I enjoyed this season. So I wanted to start by talking about love interest this season. So, Sean, could you, and also I just want to say it's a lot different seeing you playing a nice person. I just got done watching Sherlock for I think like the fifth time. She's not so nice. Can you tease what's coming with Grace and Stevie this season?
Oh, well, I think, it was evident in series one that they sort of developed feelings for each other. And then in series two, they dance around each other. They're both, in their sort of 40s. They've sort of been burnt by love in previous relationships. So it's not an easy road to sort of travel along and to trust somebody. And also, you've got this job that's thrown into the mix, which takes a huge amount of commitment and risk. And so can you really, do the job and have a relationship? And they sort of, throughout the series, you'll see whether they are, able to do that, and whether they do come together or not at the end.
Right. Now, Nathan, Tommy finally sort of has a date. He asked out Aidan. Can you talk about that a little bit? I don't know what you're allowed to say, but maybe tease that a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's super to see. It's great to see how Tommy, reacts in those kind of situations. It's a thing that he probably doesn't have a lot of experience with. He probably hasn't been on many dates before. He probably hasn't even really spoken to many girls before. I would take a guess and say, but I think there's something in it that maybe everybody can sort of relate to. Even the phone call in the first episode of the second season, he's nervous, but he's truthful about it, and he means well. And I think at the end of the day, it's maybe a lesson if you're honest and you're nice and you're polite, then you might have a good chance of getting the date that you want to get on.
Just say hopefully, not always, but
Yeah,
hopefully. All right, Catherine. We see the introduction of Shane. Tease about that and how maybe it goes well or doesn't go so well during some of it.
I think in contrast to Tommy, Annie's a wee bit more braver when it comes to shooting her shot, as in a sense. But definitely, Sheehan comes into the situation and he's completely different in so many aspects to Annie. That they react very differently as people. They think very differently. But Annie sees a real sort of confidence in Sheehan, and especially when they're put into situations together and adrenaline's going through them, and there's a connection there. And yeah, things happen, but I'm not going to say too much. But she likes him, she fancies him.
Now, next I wanted to talk about DS Canning coming in. I guess we'll start with you, Nathan. Obviously, he's kind of the one that's affected the most by that. So
yeah.
just talk about that and how his job's affected, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tommy is obviously still quite naive. He's still relatively new to this job, so he's smart enough to recognize that he probably has a lot to learn from the guys who've been there for a long time. And he looks up to DS Canning as a guy who has, he's been there for a while. He's been doing this job. He's obviously got a reasonable level, of success because he's in the position that he's in. And DS Canning kind of capitalizes on that. I think he sees something that he likes in Tommy, that maybe, Tommy's intelligent, and his loyalty particularly as well, I think attracts DS Canning to Tommy. And I think it's unfortunately, as you watch the series, it's kind of to Tommy's detriment that he puts trust in DS Canning. And but yeah, that's something that the rest of the series explores anyway, and it's interesting to see.
Okay. And then for either of you, do you feel that him coming in, like, how do you think it affects, I guess, the team dynamic? Do you think it does at all with him, the addition of him, I guess?
DS Canning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Between, the four of you, I guess.
everybody's back up.
Yeah.
I think from, like Joanne's character, he gets her, riles her. He's quite a divisive character, isn't he? And also, it's very much that they are a team, they are a family, and he feels like he's run on a very different camp. and also that he might be slightly superior to them, which
Yeah,
you know,
I definitely thinks that. All right. Now, Catherine, in the first episode, Annie makes a decision that sort of affects a lot because it doesn't go as she plans. Can you talk about, do you think, change the way in the future that she's going to, make a decision on whether to let a suspect go or things like that? Or do you think she's gotten past it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Annie just needs to think more. She needs to sit and analyze and not be so reactive and not to be so quick to do things. But naturally, she is just growing with the job and she's learning every day, and she's learning from her peers as well, particularly Grace. I mean, I feel as though they have like a real sisterly dynamic, and Grace, there's lovely traits in Grace that Annie takes, and similarly with Annie, there's really strong traits that Grace can learn from. So they're all learning from each other, really.
And then Sean, I was going to say, I think that kind of affects Grace more than anybody. She almost shoots somebody and also gets shot at this season. Can you talk about her dealing with sort of that aspect of the job?
Yeah, I think it was really interesting to play that, and also we have great police advisors on the set, whenever we're filming, and I remember having a chat with our police advisor and them saying to me, this sort of situation happened to me, and said that it really impacted them in terms of having to make that decision that you're actually going to commit to taking a gun out and pulling the trigger, and in order to protect another person's life, but what that does to you as an individual, that you might take somebody's life into your hands, and that you're quite a different officer beyond that. So it's great to be able to put that on screen.
All right. Well, thank you, all three of you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. So now I got to go back and watch series 1 now that I've seen series. Do it out of order, but I still want to do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, they sent us season 2, so I watched it, but I'll go back and watch season 1. I really liked it. So thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.